an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There is an infinite amount of cash at the There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Friday, October 9th, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is the World Crypto Network. The price of Bitcoin is up 1.43% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 11,078, a high of 11,134, a low of 10,853. That's $1 for 9,027 Satoshis. Volume was at 2,777 Bitcoins changing hands. The market continues to lean long, obviously, with 88% of the market heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 59%. And now, the news. Bitcoin price breaks 11,000. Crypto traders optimistic about Bitcoin's price action. Square buys $50 million in Bitcoin, says cryptocurrency aligns with the company's purpose. NASDAQ listed MicroStrategy raises their Bitcoin holdings to $425 million after a second purchase. And now, the news.
What's wrong with being an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times? And what's wrong with being an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times?
What's wrong with being an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times? A 33-story steel building was just on fire and did not collapse perfectly into its own footprint. Maybe today is not Tuesday. Let's look at the fire from the BBC, a British public broadcasting service. Oh, that's a big fire. Oh, man, that looks like a lot of jet fuel. This building is toast. Roasty, toasty. Look at that. My goodness. It's like fireproofing, right? Fireproofing works. Strange. So strange. Sometimes on Tuesdays, fireproofing doesn't work. Let's skip to the end. Did the building collapse? Where's the collapse footage? Oh, that looks pretty bad. Strong winds made it hard to fight the fire. But by Friday morning, the blaze was under control. The building's still there. Gosh, that's so strange. It's like it's not Tuesday or something. Also, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. U.S. states stop their pandemic social restrictions too soon. Yes, that's right. The answer was obvious. You just had to stay closed a little bit longer and it might have worked. You might have killed off the coronavirus, but you stopped too soon. Too soon, and not enough. But first, this absolute horror show of a cover-up happening
let's talk about
live.
something else that I know that your
from
communications
MSNBC.
office wanted to get back to us on, which is, when was the president's last negative test prior to his diagnosis?
So we don't have that, but we're looking at this from a public health perspective in that
We
when
don't
there's
have
an
it.
indication of a positive test or symptoms showing, then you go back the 48 hours, you do your contact tracing. It's about preventing further transmission of the disease, and that's why we'll be focused on these diagnostics and the ways of measuring transmissibility, because that's really the public health reason for releasing such information. It's to prevent further transmission of the disease. So that's where we're focused.
Sure, and of course to look at what potential exposures may have happened before the president's diagnosis. So on that last negative test, you said you don't have that. You don't know, or you don't want to say?
So we don't have that. There's I don't personally know.
Right. What does that mean?
There are
have you
HIPAA
asked, Brian?
rules.
I think Wednesday you said you were going to look into that.
So Hallie, the president doesn't check all of his HIPAA rights at the door just when he becomes president. The doctors obviously share fulsome information with the president. The president shares a great deal of information with the American public. We have gone through numerous briefings with the doctors, half a dozen memos from the doctors, his daily vitals we put out yesterday. We've had briefings with the chief after interacting with the president. We've had Kayleigh come out and talk.
Cover up. It's a cover up.
I am now speaking with you about all the information we can share. But just because he's president doesn't mean he shares every single detail of his entire life. But we do share enough information, certainly for public health purposes. Yeah.
So it's a privacy thing then, the reason why you're not saying the last negative test? HIPAA?
So that is one reason. The fact of the matter is there's a reason to share certain information. It's to prevent further transmission of the virus. It's public health purposes, and that's what we're doing.
Got it. But you just said a couple of minutes ago that you would share the results of his PCR test today if you get it and if that happens. So what's the difference? Why not be more transparent with people about this last negative test? You know there is a public health reason for this, and it impacts the people who were potentially exposed to the virus before the president was diagnosed. Why not be transparent about that specific, very specific piece of information?
So, Hallie, I stated we'll have further updates from the doctors. We've had updates from the doctors every single day. We've had numerous updates per day.
Nobody's answered this question that I know, have they?
Extremely transparent. But I'm not sure why you're very focused on that question, because it's not something. But it's not something that has the public health value that the other information we're releasing does. That's why we're releasing information in the interest of public health.
Okay, I think medical experts would absolutely disagree with that about the public health value, because the reason, as we've talked about ad nauseum, and as I think you know that is important, is because it determines the potential exposure for other people. Brian, people that you work with prior to the president's diagnosis. You are not saying when the president's last negative test was. Let's be clear about that. But let me ask someone else.
But the president was socially distanced from people. Certainly, you focused a lot on the New Jersey event. Everybody there said he was never within 6 feet of anybody.
Brian, we have video. We know the president wasn't socially distanced from everybody. That's not true. We've seen video of the president over the weekend, Brian. We have eyeballs.
But we're talking about when he was showing symptoms or had a test. We're talking about Thursday, and so we're talking about the proximity of time where he might have been transmissible. That is what we're talking about.
Right. He was on the plane with people on Wednesday night, for example, just to use that as an example. So that is why this is important. Let me ask you this. Did the president at least comply with the Cleveland Clinic debate requirements to be negative tested in the 72 hours prior to that debate? Was that was the president in compliance with that?
Backwards. The president is very interested in getting back out on the campaign trail.
I'm very focused on getting an answer to this question, Brian, and I think a lot of people
as soon as he is not going to be transmitting the virus, we will have information on that. He is excited to do it. He can't wait to get out and interact with the American people in a safe way. And by the way, he can't wait to debate Joe Biden. And the Presidential Debate Commission changing the format unilaterally was a very bad idea. There will be no medical science-based reason to change the debate. So we should get the two candidates on stage. They can separate just as they were in the first debate, and they should face off before the American people live and in person.
Got it. So as for the last debate, the 72-hour requirement to test negative, did the president comply with that? Yes or no?
Hallie, we are looking at how the president can get out there without transmitting the virus, and that's what we're going to do.
That is not the question that is in front of you, Brian. So do you not have an answer? I just want to be clear. I know. Again, yes or no? Do you have an answer?
Hallie,
and if you don't, just say you don't have an answer.
You've got time to talk to the White House about very important issues. Let's talk about how we want to help people get through this virus with more stimulus that the speaker seems to ignore. She's now talking about the 25th Amendment because she couldn't get the president with impeachment
well, that
or
is
the
not
Russia
actually
hoax or
the
anything
topic
else.
of this conversation,
Let's talk
Brian,
about
because as you know,
issues.
nope. All right, Brian, thank you very much.
Wow. A Nixon-esque cover-up happening in real time. How cool is that? Amazing. We've also got this article coming up. We might check out her video. We've got so much more happening on the Thomas Hunt Show today. But first, we've got Minecraft. And not just Minecraft. There was a challenge by Rutzel. He thought that I couldn't do a show of Minecraft with German Minecraft, Deutsch, Minecraft und Deutschland. So we're going to give it a try here. Everyone's writing me messages. That's a good time for that. So much for that. But check this out here. We're going to, we'll do the easy one here. Restore an easy one. I wonder if I can hear this. Can you guys hear this? There we go. How do you say have? Haben. It's not talking though. It should be on one of these inputs. Let's see. Bluetooth turned on. Let's see. 2 books. Zwei Bücher. Excellent. Are eating. Est. The children read books. Die Kinder lesen Bücher. Nice. How do you say books? Oh, this is totally slanted towards me here, right? Bücher. Of course I know how to say books. 5 in a row. Look at that. This is also a good chance for everyone to give us a thumbs up and a share. We're about to play Minecraft. Ignore all that other stuff. Who cares about the world, right? Film is a movie. Bücher means books. Zimmer means room. Gitarre means guitar. And I don't know this one, but flaschen must mean bottles. Yes, process of elimination. Wir lesen gern die Zeitung. We like reading the newspaper. Bam. Billig means cheap. Pflanzen is plants. Perfect. Haben is to have. And kurz means short. So like Colonel Kurtz means Colonel Short. Zwei Bücher. I think Zwei is still 2, but God, if I screw up any of these, I look like an idiot. Oh well. The girl reads the newspaper. Das Mädchen liest die Zeitung. Now this is a guess here. There's a lot of different transformations of the word lesen, which is read. 10 in a row. Liest die Bücher. He reads the books. It must be difficult reading multiple books at the same time. Are the books great? Sind die Bücher toll? Nice. Nailed it. I can't listen right now. Sweet for me. The 4 girls are reading 4 books. Ooh, these questions are questionable. Let's see. Die wir Mädchen lesen wir Bücher. It's worth a shot. Oh, that was a tough one. Okay, they're going to make it hard now. You are eating the apple. Now this is, I always screw this up. So let's try side ist die Apfel. Oh, esst den Apfel. I'm very close, right? Esst den Apfel. They have the apple. Sie haben die, that might be right. Let's see. Apfel. Sie haben den Apfel. This is very, very technical. So let's see. Est die Apfel. Is it going to be den? Am I going to get it wrong again? Oh, well, I got to try it. It's den. Yeah. So it's a trick. They know that I don't know den, so they're sneaking it in on me. Sie haben den Apfel. Yeah, you sneaky. Esst den. I know, I learned. Apfel. Good enough. So there we go. We have learned German, and now we're going to play Minecraft. How fun is that? So here we are, single player, starting off where we left off yesterday. Maximize screen. There we are, back in the world. Ignore all the politics and the coup and the price of Bitcoin being 11K and you don't have enough, or you sold them all, or you never had any in the first place. Ignore all that. Just enjoy Minecraft. Ooh, I have a theory why there's no audio. Let's turn up desktop audio. Nope. Out to the roadcaster. Good. Why can't I hear my stupid Minecraft noises? Ah, there we go. I can hear it a little bit. The screen is just not quite. I just don't have enough desk space really here. I'm using a table. It's unsatisfactory. All right. Ich haben die pickaxe, pickfettel, something like that. Ist grün. I think I'll lose everybody if I try to talk bad German. Let's see. We were trying to build a scale model of Chatsworth, of the fantastic fountains, and maybe even the building itself. We had just acquired some coal, and we're about to build a road and go on a mission to explore the amazing new world of Minecraft. No one has ever been out here before. We are the first humans. Look, a cow. And another smaller mountain. Perhaps a good observation spot. And look, a natural water cascade. This might be just the thing. Remember, we're trying to build the fountain on the lawn of Chatsworth. A small building designed by a Frenchman that has a long cascade. It seems very buildable in a Minecraft sense. Wow, look, there's a natural, almost like a Minecraft volcano. There looks like there's some fire or lava. Then there's this mountain here. Very nice Minecraft mountain. And then there's this potential waterfall that could be a nice source. We could just build it into here. Oh, this is a little mountainy, though. I could cover that all up, though, maybe. Yeah, and then I could build Chatsworth House down there. Yeah, this sounds like fun. I'm tired of pre-building. I want to actually build something. How are we on time? So let's see. Let's just start with this as the potential cascade. Oh, it says you touched water. You could build a boat. Smart. What clever Minecraft. So let's see what kind of water source we got here. That guy. Water's pretty amazing in Minecraft. You can float all the way to the top. It's almost like an elevator in a lot of ways. So let's see. So you think Nancy Pelosi's going to invoke the 25th Amendment? That's what they're having meetings about right now. Be a fly on that wall, huh? Hey, here we are. Snowy. It's another thing we didn't have to deal with in old versions of Minecraft. Nonsense like snow. Why, in my day, back in Minecraft, they didn't have snow. Won't have it here either. Although I guess it comes back somehow, depending on your Minecraft temperature or something. I don't know how it works. That's a nice looking cascade, a cool valley, a sweet road of torches, and maybe a good spot for a little temple. There it is, a natural lava flow. What a nice Minecraft valley. Not too many trees. Look, even animals. Gosh, fella could make a nice Minecraft life for himself in a nice place like this. Tell you what. Ich lebe in Minecraft. Let's see here. Now, this cascade is not quite shaped the way that we're going to want the cascade eventually to look. It's going to go through phases. Let's see what we can do about the sides. go, starting to shape the water on this side. I was commissioned to do this project by the International Minecraft Planning Commission. They sent dignitaries to my house. They had a lot of paperwork I had to sign. This isn't just like a, joke project or something. This is a serious project. Thanks to everyone who's joining us on the World Crypto Network today. Previously, we've only been on the Thomas Hunt Show, but I wanted to talk about that Bitcoin news, the exciting news that Jack from Square, also Jack from Twitter, is investing so much into Bitcoin, finally. And that even though it's only 1% of Square's incredible holdings, it's great news. It's also great news that MicroStrategy bought $425 million in Bitcoin. Really puts the couple of grand you had to yourself to shame, doesn't it? Finally, the big money's here to show us that we've been right all along. Too bad we didn't have any money. But still, it's something to said about being right. Don't worry, chat. We're on our way. We're going to check in with the chat. We're also live on Twitch at Twitch Mad Bitcoins. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Periscope, Twitter. I just pushed all the buttons. I was like, look at all this fun news. And the cover-up. Oh, the cover-up is so fun, don't you think? Oh, we are out of cobble. Back to base. So much for that plan. Still, it's daytime here in Minecraft Valley. We've got the beginnings of a possible water cascade. Natural spring. Ooh, some other water there. Might be stealing that source if I go find some iron. We're tearing up the grass. Just like they did in Zelda. There should be coins in here, right? According to my Zelda knowledge, this should all be filled with coins. But anyway, we're heading back to base to get some more building materials as we sketch out kind of a first draft of what this temple could look like. Moo. So fun. There didn't used to be cows in Minecraft. Why, back in my day, the only monsters were the ones that tried to kill you. So. There's the bridge, there's the ravine, and our home base. Let's see what we've got. Not that much cobble, but we've got some. Take some dirt, too. Take some wood. And basically just go set up over there. Coal might be nice. And back to the building site. I guess I could set up a railway here. That'd be pretty cool. All about Minecraft railways now. Powered railways. Oh, and eventually I'll have to take down this mountain probably. At least this edge. Because I want to be able to see everything. These trees are probably toast. It's like a savanna out here. Not a lot of trees. Ooh, picked up something weird. Here we are back at the build site. Oh, I picked up a random piece of iron. That's freaking weird. Stirring up the foundation. All right, let's see what we got going here. It's going to be a big cascade. Oh boy. Water saved my butt there. how's that water passing through? I saw the funniest thing on Twitter. I saw someone say something nice about Star Trek Lower Decks. I was like, are you serious? Things like the end of Star Trek 6, but in reverse. You've destroyed my faith in Star Trek, and you have destroyed all of ours. That's some bad Star Trek right there. So is Discovery, and so is Picard. They stopped making shows after Enterprise. All right, we're continuing to shore up the foundation of the left side of our potential waterway that will lead to our temple. Nice. We'll be getting together later today for the Bitcoin group, everyone's favorite Friday evening show. Got a good crew. They were chatting me while I was trying to learn German, so that was good. Ich lerne die Deutsch. Die Bitcoin-Gruppe ist die toll Bitcoin Show. Ist toll. Ist sehr toll. Anyway, we're cobbling up a huge left side staircase. I have to do a lot of fine tuning to this project. I don't quite have the picture in front of me, so I think the actual one kind of goes out even further, like longer in its cascading. So might have to create that effect later, depending on the realism required for this project, you know, the Minecraft Commission. We're definitely going to have to plant a bunch of grass on top of all this cobble. This is all going to be covered up. No one will know the stone infrastructure of this incredible cascading fountain. Truly the greatest thing ever built in Minecraft. Most people know that. But now you do too. We are still very far from the ground. We might have to go mining to get more materials to even just build the left side cascade. That's fun too, though. It'll be bigger, larger than life. It's like the inside of our pyramid just got put out here on the edge of the world. The world of Minecraft. Oh, before we run out of time, let's play Check-In with the Chat. Check-In with the Chat. Let's check out World Crypto Network first. There's always some chat going on there. Let's see. Oh, we have to go exit full screen because it gets upset. And then now we're back. Boom. Hey, check it out. We're live. It's working. Let's see what's going on here. Hey, there's a chat. Let's see. Are his arms tired? Let's see. Pay. Oh, 2020, 2024, 2028. Pelosi looked drunk. Maybe she's worried about America. That's dangerous. I don't know why Americans are so invested in politics. It makes their situation worse. They're fragmented. Well, there might be something to be said about that. There's been other countries that have been attempting to fragment America. So it is possible that they are worried about that and that they are being successful. So heed the warnings of Richard Hart. Become a scammer. So no, I think you can enjoy a little bit of Minecraft. I think it's fun. It's kind of like Legos. But that's the chat there. Oh, people are voting it down. Oh, they don't like the news. They're voting it down because I did the news earlier. Do you guys want a recap of the news? It's like a different crew. Let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see. Technologies. And now the news. First, we need a new refresher. Make sure we get the freshest Bitcoin price for you from Bitcoinal.com, built by our friend DJ Booth. Check it out over at Bitcoinal. The price of Bitcoin in the last 24 hours is up 1.15%, with a last of 11,078, with a high of 11,134, with a low of 10,853. That's $1 for 9,032 Satoshis. Bitcoin price breaks 11,000. Crypto traders optimistic about Bitcoin's action. Square buys $50 million in Bitcoin, says cryptocurrency aligns with the company's purpose. That is our purpose. NASDAQ listed MicroStrategy raises Bitcoin holdings to $425 million after a second purchase. That's just what I did too. At first I was like, I should put in 200 million. And then I was like, no, put in the full 425. Just keep 75 for myself. And this show.
And what's wrong with being an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times?
Oh, what's wrong with that indeed? On Friday morning, a building caught on fire, a 33-story steel building. And it didn't collapse perfectly into its own footprint. That's right. Here you can see the building is engulfed in flames in South Korea. Reports are coming in that it was not Tuesday, so the steel structure was able to survive, as you can see here from the end of the video, despite high winds that made it difficult to fight the blaze. The building is just fine. The building did not collapse into its own footprint today. Also, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. U.S. states stop their pandemic social restrictions too soon. Yes, that's right. All they had to do was stay home a few weeks longer and let that virus die. Instead, they went out there and spread that virus. And now the virus is back. Welcome back, coronavirus. And if that's not enough, there's more. Check out this clip as the Trump administration covers up. When was the date of the president's last negative test? Well, let's see. If the president was tested before the debate on Wednesday with Joe Biden, we would know whether or not the president attempted to infect Joe Biden with the coronavirus. Did Trump assume that his powerful immune system would kill the virus, while the virus just might kill his opponent? Is he really that cynical? We don't know because they won't tell us when his last negative test was. Yes, you'd assume that he was tested before the debate, but according to reports, the Trump people showed up late to the debate, and there was not enough time to test them, and they used what they call the honor system. Yes, the honor system was used on the people who took their masks off in the crowd and refused to put them back on. Now, here's the question that we're not going to get an answer to because the answer is probably yes. When was the president's last negative test? Did the president know he had coronavirus before the debate? Why won't they just tell us?
All right, let's talk about something else that I know that your communications office wanted to get back to us on, which is when was the president's last negative test prior to his diagnosis?
So we don't have that, but we're looking at this from a public health perspective in that when there's an indication of a positive test or symptoms showing, then you go back the 48 hours, you do your contact tracing. It's about preventing further transmission of the disease, and that's why we'll be focused on these diagnostics and the ways of measuring transmissibility, because that's really the public health reason for releasing such information. It's to prevent further transmission of the disease. So that's where we're focused.
Sure, and of course to look at what potential exposures may have happened before the president's diagnosis. So on that last negative test, you said you don't have that. You don't know, or you don't want to say?
So we don't have that. I don't personally know.
Right. What does that mean?
There are
have you
HIPAA
asked, Brian?
rules.
I think Wednesday you said you're going to look into that.
So, Hallie, the president doesn't check all of his HIPAA rights at the door just when he becomes president. The doctors obviously share fulsome information with the president. The president shares a great deal of information with the American public. We have gone through numerous briefings with the doctors, half a dozen memos from the doctors, his daily vitals we put out yesterday. We've had briefings with the chief after interacting with the president. We've had Kayleigh come out and talk. I am now speaking with you about all the information we can share. But just because he's president doesn't mean he shares every single detail of his entire life. But we do share enough information, certainly for public health purposes. Yeah.
So it's a privacy thing then, the reason why you're not saying the last negative test? HIPAA?
So that is one reason. The fact of the matter is there's a reason to share certain information. It's to prevent further transmission of the virus. It's public health purposes, and that's what we're doing.
Got it. But you just said a couple of minutes ago that you would share the results of his PCR test today if you get it and if that happens. So what's the difference? Why not be more transparent with people about this last negative test? You know there is a public health reason for this, and it impacts the people who were potentially exposed to the virus before the president was diagnosed. Why not be transparent about that specific, very specific piece of information?
So, Hallie, I stated we'll have further updates from the doctors. We've had updates from the doctors every single day. We've had numerous updates per day.
Nobody's answered this question that I know, have they?
Extremely transparent. But I'm not sure why you're very focused on that question, because it's not something. But it's not something that has the public health value that the other information we're releasing does. That's why we're releasing information in the interest of public health.
Okay. I think medical experts would absolutely disagree with that about the public health value, because the reason, as we've talked about ad nauseum, and as I think you know that is important, is because it determines the potential exposure for other people, Brian, people that you work with prior to the president's diagnosis. You are not saying when the president's last negative test was. Let's be clear about that. Let me ask something else.
But the president was socially distanced from people. Certainly, you focused a lot on the New Jersey event. Everybody there said he was never within 6 feet of anybody.
Brian, we have video. We know the president wasn't socially distanced from everybody. That's not true. We've seen video of the president over the weekend, Brian. We have eyeballs.
But we're talking about when he was showing symptoms or had a test. We're talking about Thursday, and so we're talking about the proximity of time where he might have been transmissible. That is what we're talking about.
Right. He was on the plane with people on Wednesday night, for example, just to use that as an example. So that is why this is important. Let me ask you this. Did the president at least comply with the Cleveland Clinic debate requirements to be negative tested in the 72 hours prior to that debate? Was that
you are
was the
very
president in
focused on
compliance with
looking
that?
backwards. The president is very interested in getting back
I'm
out on the
very focused on
campaign
getting
trail
an answer to this question, Brian, and I think a lot of people
as soon as he is not going to be transmitting the virus, we will have information on that. He is excited to do it. He can't wait to get out and interact with the American people in a safe way. And by the way, he can't wait to debate Joe Biden. And the Presidential Debate Commission changing the format unilaterally was a very bad idea. There will be no medical science-based reason to change the debate. So we should get the two candidates on stage. They can separate just as they were in the first debate, and they should face off before the American people live and in person.
Got it. So as for the last debate, the 72-hour requirement to test negative, did the president comply with that, yes or no?
Hallie, we are looking at how the president can get out there without transmitting the virus, and that's what we're going to do.
That is not the question that is in front of you, Brian. So do you not have an answer? I just want to be clear. I know. Again, yes or no? Do you have an answer?
Hallie,
and if you don't, just say you don't have an answer.
You've got time to talk to the White House about very important issues. Let's talk about how we want to help people get through this virus with more stimulus that the speaker seems to ignore. She's now talking about the 25th Amendment because she couldn't get the president with impeachment or the Russia hoax or anything else. Well, that is not actually the topic of this conversation, Brian, because as you know, nope. All right,
Brian, thank you very much.
So I'm not surprised that maybe people are downvoting the show or upset to see an actual live Republican cover-up on TV live. It's amazing, isn't it? It's a really simple question. First, let's walk through why this is important. So there's a disease out there. It's a pandemic, and the disease spreads person to person. Water droplets come out of your mouth or your nose or somewhere else, maybe your eyes, I don't know. Maybe you could spread it through farts, right? But water droplets come out of your mouth and then they go into other people's mouths, nose, eyes, orifices, entries into the body. And that's how you get the disease. So we try to keep people apart and have people wear masks. And then, thanks to science, beyond just that common sense stuff of the masks and the keeping apart thing, then we test people and we see if they have the disease, right? And what that really shows is that certain things are happening in the body that they can identify that show that your body has recently fought something similar to the disease. So they're like, well, because of the presence of this, there must be the presence of that at some time in the recent past. So the way you do contact tracing is, let's say that someone went to the supermarket and they had the virus. Well, we found out they went to the hospital. They feel really sick now. And now all of a sudden they have this sense of community and they feel, wow, what about all the other people I've gotten sick? And they say, hey, I was with my cousin and I was with my friend and I was with my girl. And they're like, okay, we called your cousin, we called your friend, we called your girl. They're all going to stay home just in case they have the virus. Even if we have no scientific way of testing this, we can still just assume by using logic and process of elimination, things like that, that if they stay home for 14 days, they won't spread it to anyone else. And also we're contacting all the people that they came in contact with, their workers, their lawyers, their attorney, all the people they met. They're going to stay home. This huge cascade of staying home is spreading from this person's test because everyone has suddenly developed a sense of community, as if we're all interconnected with each other, as if I don't know, the where this water came from. I don't know where the bacon came from. Some farmer made it. Some robot made it. Some, plumber made this. All of us are interconnected together. It's almost as if, as Kennedy said, we breathe the same air, right? Imagine that was true for a minute, and that we were all riding around in these meat bags with the potential to get this deadly virus, sometimes more deadly, sometimes less deadly. It depends how often you like to roll your dice with your life. But we could all get it, and this guy in the grocery store now has it, and he says, oh, I also went to the grocery store. And they're like, okay, so we're going to tell the people that went to the grocery store, we're going to put out a warning, we're going to go to the cash register, we're going to get the phone numbers and say, hey, just give everybody a buzz. You might have the virus, stay home. So that's how contact tracing works. And what that does, as you can see from my example, if you visualize it in your mind, if you think about it, it's a cascade of people staying home. And this is with no testing. Let's assume that the virus is untestable, right? We cannot see any evidence that you've had the virus inside your system. Any kind of weird markers that would be like, he has this weird thing in him. That means he probably has virus, right? So that's how contact tracing works, a cascade of people staying home. So the information about your positive or negative tests is really important in contact tracing, right? It determines when we should start this process of staying home. Because once you start showing the symptoms, we know you have the virus, right? First, there's this early part where you're asymptomatic, where you have the virus and you're spreading the virus, but you don't know you have the virus because the virus is really tricky. And doing something like this actually gives the virus an evolutionary advantage where this version of the virus would spread better than other versions of the virus because it has this early period where you're not sick, but you're spreading it. It's like you're working for the virus during that period. So when someone gets sick, like that guy at the grocery store, it's really important to find out when they started working for the virus, right? When they started working for the enemy, when they started spreading it. And if the people getting sick at that grocery store, or it could be a party on the White House lawn, or it could be a second private party that they had inside after the first party, because the first party wasn't enough, even though they were hugging and kissing outside on the lawn. Let's say the people at that grocery store or party were senators and were speechwriters for the president, were like in charge of the Republican National Committee, and were all these important people, then it would be even more important for them to develop that feeling of community, especially when the community that we're talking about are all of their Republican friends and brothers and sisters who are celebrating getting this third Supreme Court justice and confirming their hold 6-3 on all major decisions like Citizens United and Roe v. Wade and are corporations people and do corporations get the right to abortion? All these things are going to happen on the Supreme Court, and they're going to win forever. It's going to be awesome. They were having a big party. Wouldn't you want to share with your community them? Wouldn't you want to tell them all the details? Previously, the president had been getting tested a lot. He had this cool machine. He showed it to us on TV. He waved at it just like in the 1980s, like a supermodel, the way he was trained. And he pointed at it, and it's called the Abbott machine. And the Abbott machine was amazing because you put your stuff in the little bottle and you put your little bottle in the machine. Of course, the machine only takes one bottle at a time. It's not like we need to test millions of people here. Like, you can afford to take your time and put one bottle into one machine and one machine for one person for 15 minutes and all that stuff. That's really going to scale. But other than that, this amazing little machine would tell you whether or not you had the coronavirus. And he showed us on TV and he said, everyone that comes to the White House is tested. Everyone that gets within 5 feet of me is tested. Everyone is tested multiple times. He even talked about when his valet and when Stephen Miller's wife got sick, he said, she had multiple good tests, and then she had a bad test. Yep. So they got this great machine, right? And they've had it since March. It's been a long time. The problem is science moves fast. And 1 minute you think you got a great machine. Next minute, it's not so good. So the word on the street about this machine is that it gives 30% false negative tests. Now that's a lot of confusing language. Let's get that. So 30%, what does that mean? 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3. So pretty good odds, right? You're not going to find any 1 out of 3s at the casino. A 33% chance. That's almost a coin flip, right? A coin flip is 50-50. We're talking 30-70. So that's, almost half of coin flip. So 1 out of 3. There's a 1 out of 3 chance that this Abbott test will give you a false negative. Well, what's a false negative? Well, a false positive means that the machine says, you have the virus. And you go home and you tell all your friends and you tell all your people and you call up your girl and you tell everybody, hey, got the virus. We got to stay home. We got to quarantine 14 days. We got to not spread this thing. We might have been secretly working for the virus and we're not going to work for the virus anymore. So you tell everyone. So and then a couple days later, you feel fine. And you have another corona test, maybe another brand or a different kind of test, testing a different part of your system because there's different ways to try to find evidence that the virus was there. We don't actually test for the virus. We test for the evidence. And so a couple days later, you have some more tests and you don't have the virus. You were a false positive. You told everyone to stay home for nothing. Everyone had to alter their life and not spread the virus for a couple of days. Not really a lot of damage, right? Like, sure, you were stressed out. You felt bad. Your people felt bad. You had to tell people. You felt stupid for not wearing a mask and not staying apart from people and all that kind of thing. So there were some damages, certainly from a false positive. But that's nothing compared to a false negative. Let's talk about what a false negative is. False negative means that you do have the virus. You're working for Team Virus. You're an undercover agent. And you just tested on the machine and you got a 1 out of 3 chance, 30%. You got a false negative. This means that you do have the virus, but you've just been given a golden ticket saying that you do not have the virus. This person can now unintentionally, not on purpose, there's no malicious intent here, could even be the president. This person can now go around spreading the virus thinking that they don't have it. So the question here is, the president who's been tested so many times, you got to assume they got one of those little memo books, like the black and white book with the cracked cover and everything, and you write down in it your scientific report and you say, well, today is October 9th and the president does not have the virus. And you say, today is October 10th and the president has a virus. You put a circle, right? Somebody has a scientific book like that. And in it, every time they test the president, this isn't like a pee test. He's not sneaking into the bathroom, taking a coronavirus pregnancy test, finding out he's negative and then throwing it in the trash. There's records. There's evidence. It's the simplest thing in the world. And it's important to your community, to his fellow Republicans who are at that cool party celebrating the right to take away abortion from all the women who are poor. It's great, right? It's a sweet party. That's why you should tell them. That's why it's a simple answer and simple question. And that's why it's even more sick if he went to this Biden debate, even accidentally, even like I might infect him, like even it might happen. Maliciously is worse. I want to infect my opponent on purpose. Like if he could have licked his hand and then shook his hand, you know, I mean, that would have been even worse. But yeah, that's it. That's the cover up. That's why people are upset. And it's open and shut. It's a really bad video clip. The guy will not say yes or no. They won't give us the test. Even if you're like, I love the president, he's the best. He's lying here, and it's making your community of Republicans less safe. So you should work on that one. You should think about it for a while. This is a funny article. Not sure if I have the voice for it, but this lady was fantastic. She's very upset about fracking. Let's give her the floor. Here's Kylie Brakeman at Deadeye Brakeman talking about fracking.
This is for all the girls out there who were told they couldn't frack because they were a woman. Well, I'm here to tell you, keep drilling, because we are the daughters of the oil rigs they couldn't spill into the Gulf of Mexico. Nevertheless, we frack-sisted. I don't just frack for me. I frack for my friends. I frack for my family. I frack for my stay-at-home grandmother, who was told she couldn't. My hands frack like this, so her hands can frack like this. Because we believe in science. We believe in saving the environment. And by God, will we continue to destroy it. It's 2020. Fracking is now intersectional, and we're not going back. You know, I heard of a girl who was told she couldn't frack. And that little girl was Hermione Granger. And no, we don't have a magic wand, but we have something more powerful. Our brains. I, for one, stand by the famous Democratic slogan, drill, baby, drill. Although I would argue, it's time to change it. Drill, woman, drill. Thank you so much. Good night.
A powerful defense of a woman's right to fracking. Really good stuff. Let's see. I think we had the chat up around here, and I think the chat wanted to know the news. They say the chat says that Trump doesn't understand how testing works and that he might have killed Chris Christie. Yes, it is very disturbing to see Republicans like Chris Christie and Rudolph Giuliani disappear from public life. Christie checked himself into a hospital preemptively. Never heard of that before. Must be some new rich kind of thing. But he preemptively went into the hospital. That was wild. We're not going to read it. It's too good. Checking out the price of Bitcoin. Looks like it's gone down a little bit from a recent high of 11,134 to the current price of 11,073. That's $1 for 9,031 Satoshis. We went a little long today. We're probably heading towards the end of the show. Just been working on the initial phases of this cascade. Looking like we might be. Oh, we broke the game. Let's see. Might be running out of cobblestone. Could be the end of today's show. We might need to come back with more cobble. But you can see the progress. Ich tragen in Minecraft. Well, that one's messed up. That one doesn't look right. But the rest of it is progress. What is this about? A double stuff. Fix it tomorrow. A nice leisurely jaunt back to the home. So I'm glad we had that fun chat about testing and cover-ups. The other half of that, of course, is about Nixon in the 1970s. The famous phrase from Watergate is, "It was the cover-up that was the crime." It was the cover-up that was the crime, which means with this one, that guy right there who refused to say yes or no, he's trying to stay off the record. He's trying to stay out of the trial. I remember John Dean, a man in a similar position to that fellow, had to go to jail, I think, for a while. There was a lot of Nixon guys that went to jail after the cover-up. Remember the cover-up, they refused to tell people about the White House taping system, as well as the White House operations on the Watergate Hotel, the home of the Democratic National Committee, the headquarters of the Democratic Party. This cover-up went all the way to the top, to the president himself. We would later find out all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Richard Nixon back together again. So you really have to worry with these last few weeks before the election to see the president so mired in a cover-up, especially a cover-up that affects his fellow Republicans. So I know that all of you are men of good character and women of good character, and you understand what it's like to have emotions for people and for your fellow humans, your fellow man, especially when they agree with you, right? Especially these people, they have a political cause with you. You're celebrating your fantastic Supreme Court justice. You're long going to get all the things you've ever wanted. And just in that beautiful moment of triumph, so many Republicans get infected with the coronavirus. And then the simplest information, when did you test positive? When did you test negative? Suddenly become privileged and private. But they'll tell you tomorrow. Tomorrow, when he needs to go to a rally, suddenly this information will appear and it won't be privileged and private. But yesterday's information is privileged and private. It's almost like a cover-up, isn't it? It's almost just like a cover-up. But we are at 58 minutes. These are supposed to be 30-minute Minecraft episodes, but I also did the news. I checked in with the chat. I did the news twice. My voice still feels 70%. I can feel it. I can hear it being gravelly. I don't like it. I want to just turn it off instantly, but maybe you guys like this, or I don't know, maybe it's passable. So this is the Minecraft pyramid from whence I started. This is the road to the hill, and just off there in the distance, you can see the beginnings of the Cascade and the Chatsworth waterworks, the amazing creation of Minecraft. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back later today for the Bitcoin group talking about Square buying $50 million worth of Bitcoin, MicroStrategy buying $425 million worth of Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin going above $11,000, and much, much more on the Bitcoin group today at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in just 3 hours. I'll be drinking tea and repairing my voice, and I won't be playing Minecraft until I'm back here. So thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye.